Why would I, as a real estate agent, tell you everything you need to know in order to sell your home without me? What's in it for me, right? Where's the catch? You see, when I got started as a real estate agent almost 10 years ago, I didn't know anybody in the Seattle area, and all I could do was call up for sale by owners to ask if I could help them sell their home. And many of them agreed to have me represent them. Now, I ran into a little moral dilemma in a few cases, where we met a for sale by owner who didn't have any equity in his house or very little equity. In some cases, our commission would be higher than the money that they are walking away with at the closing of the property. In those moments, I just made a decision that I would share with them everything that they needed to know in order to sell their home without me. And guess what? It worked. I mean, these guys would call me a week or two later, thanking me profusely, letting me know that they finally got a contract and that their home is on the way to closing. And I'm here to help you do just that. Now, what's in it for me? My hope is that if you're a homeowner who is just looking to get educated and maybe won't want to take the whole process on themselves, I would ask that you consider to interview me for the job of helping you get your home sold. Even if you're in a different state, I have connections in all 50 states with different agents. Now, that still didn't answer the question. What do I get out of telling you everything that you need to know about selling your home by yourself without an agent? Well, my hope is that if you're somebody who's maybe not stuck in a tough spot and would like an agent to represent them, I would appreciate if you fill out the link below and reach out to me to set up an interview to help you get your home sold. Even if you're in a different state, I have agents all across the country that I could refer you to. Now, let's get down to business. Now, the first step in getting your home sold is really a psychological one, and I'll explain. You have to ask yourself the question, do I want to sell my home or do I need to sell your home? The answer to these questions will influence every decision you make from here on forward. Because when negotiations arise, and they will arise from the buyers, you're gonna be often stuck in a dilemma to where you have to decide on how to respond to them. Whether it's a minor inspection negotiation or a bigger issue that pops up and you're like, wow, I didn't know that my foundation was cracked, or something along those lines. The answer to this question will help you keep a level head, free of emotion, to where you can make a logical, calculated decision that aligns with your goal of selling your home. Because if you just want to sell your home, you're just gonna waste a bunch of time, and when negotiations come, you're probably gonna back out of the deal, and you just wasted possibly a month or two of your life and some money on pictures and things like that when it would have been better for you not to even start. If you're somebody that needs to sell their home, listen up. So the first thing that you should do is take a look at where you're at right now, what month specifically, and identify how fast you want your home sold. Typically, the real estate market ebbs and flows. So springtime, anywhere from February to April, will be the best time to list your home on the property, because that's when there's more buyers out there looking for home and a lot less sellers listing their properties. What that does is creates immediate demand for your property, therefore driving multiple buyers to your house, and multiple buyers equals more money in your pocket. However, if you're somebody who's perhaps in the month of November or August, maybe even December, and you're like, shoot, I need to sell my house right now, there's gonna be a slightly different strategy for you when it comes to pricing your home versus someone who's pricing it in the spring market. And we're gonna get into all of those details right now. So, after you have identified that you need to sell your home, and considered what time of the year is best for you to sell it, now you need to take a step back and look at your property. Let's talk about preparing your home for sale and why staging matters. When you're on the hunt to get top dollar for your property, you have to recognize who is going to be your ideal buyer. If you're a regular homeowner, 9 times out of 10, your ideal buyer is going to be somebody who wants to live in the property. That's the person who will pay you the most amount of money. Not somebody who's gonna flip it or remodel it, they usually want a deal. Not somebody who wants a rental, they usually want a deal as well. Your goal is to attract somebody who wants to live in the property and become emotionally attached to it when they see it. Buying a home is an emotional process, and you have to understand the mind of a buyer if you want to attract buyers to your property. Now, buyers fall in love with their eyes. It's very much like marriage. You see somebody first, you love how they look, and then you get to know them. Statistics say that buyers decide to see your home based off the first 3 pictures that they see. Now, not only do we need fantastic photography, not from your friend Bob who does family portraits, I'm talking fantastic real estate photography. Besides that, we need to prepare your home first. So what you need to do is take a deep assessment of your property, take a step back, maybe bring in a friend that hasn't been at your home in a while and say, hey, if you were buying this property, what things would turn you off? What you want to do is start by walking the outside and take a glance at your home. How does the paint look like? Has it been faded? Or is it fading out? Are the gutters clogged and rain is just pouring over the sides? Is there moss on the roof like there is everywhere here in the Great Pacific Northwest? What about your fascia boards, which are essentially the trim boards on your home where you hang up Christmas lights on or whatever it is you want to do? Are they rotted, right? How does your exterior overall look like? What about the landscaping and the curb appeal? Again, you will never get a second chance for a first impression. So you have to make sure that your landscaping is in tip-top shape, that you call out some gardeners, that you call out a landscaping company, get them to add some bark all around your home, trim up your bushes, clean up your lawn, right? If your home needs to get painted, get it painted. If your gutters are overflowing, get them cleaned out. If your fascia boards are rotted, get them replaced. Now, after looking on the outside, let's walk inside. We want to make sure that your home looks as close to a model home as possible. Now, what does that mean? We want to make sure that the home has one general theme to it. Often when people live in the home, they personalize it so much to a degree to where every bedroom has a different color. There's 3 shades of carpet, 5 different types of tile, and the kitchen might have a wacky look to it as well, with blue cabinets and maybe some beige countertops or something crazy like that. We want to have one general theme to your home. Usually what that means in most of the houses that I sell is we repaint the whole house on the interior to one color on the walls and one color on the ceilings. It's usually an off-white on the ceilings and maybe a light beige or a very light gray on the walls. Very neutral colors. If you have bedrooms that are pink, purple, blue for little Susie, Johnny, and Billy, we want to get them painted. Right now, you're trying to attract a buyer to your home that will actually see themselves living there and not you and your children. Now, part of getting a home ready is also depersonalizing it from any family photos. The last thing you want to do is when a buyer comes in, you don't want them to sit down trying to envision themselves living there and they look up and see a picture of your Uncle Tom or Aunt Janice, whatever it may be, right? You want them to feel comfortable in your home. So depersonalize it, get everything painted one neutral color, and also take an assessment of your floors. Most of the times, if you have carpet, you need to get it replaced with a medium grade, not too expensive and not too cheap carpet and padding, because homes usually acquire smells and all the smells lie in the padding. So if you have carpet, unless it's brand new or in the last, maybe put in the last year, it usually will need to get replaced. Now, if your flooring is normal, and what I mean by that is if you have one general theme to your flooring, maybe it's maybe it's an oak luxury vinyl plank. Great, leave it alone. But if you have luxury vinyl plank, then hardwood, then tile, then carpet, then a few rugs, trust me, it's going to be in your best interest to even get the flooring replaced to one general theme. Because the last thing you want buyers to do is when they walk into your home, they look at everything and they say, you know, it's fine. But when they go home at night and they're laying in bed, all those little details that we're talking about will throw them off, and they won't even know why they don't like your home. They just won't feel right about it. And that's what I mean when I say buying a home is an emotional process. You have to deal with people here on a psychological level, and every little detail matters. Now, after you've done all the work on the inside, what you want to do is hire a stager to either A, stage your home completely, or B, hire a stager for a consultation so they can tell you how to make your home work with the current furniture you have. You want a minimalistic setup. You don't want to come into a bedroom, have the door hit on a dresser, see a dresser across the room, see a third dresser over here, and 5 side tables. We want minimalistic. Every room should have a bed, a side table, and maybe a light. That's it. Living room should have a couch, maybe a rug that matches, a coffee table, maybe some greenery. That's it. We're talking minimalistic. So either hire a professional stager to stage your home. And on that note, I want to just say the Real Estate Agent Association say that according to statistics, the average homeowner who stages their home receives a return of 5 to 15% above their asking price. Staging usually costs $3,000 or so for a regular home. Sometimes it costs more. If your home is $500,000, 5% more on $500,000 is $25,000. That's a crazy amount of money. So it's absolutely worth it to stage your home professionally. So after you have done the work to your home on the inside, after you have decluttered it, that's also a big one, after you have painted it and staged it, now you need to get a professional cleaning company. Often staging furniture has dust on it, and especially if you're living in the home, one thing you might not notice is those dirty windowsills, a stain up on the ceiling, cobwebs in the corner. I'm telling you, I've seen it all. So make sure to reach out just by Googling a professional local cleaning company to clean your home thoroughly, to deep clean it. I'm talking toilet bowls, right? They get up in there. You don't want to have a buyer come over and see some stains in the toilet bowl. It's just weird, okay? We want a show-ready home. And this is the type of mindset that you need to live with until you pocket that paycheck for selling your home. So hire a professional cleaning company in order to do a deep clean on your home. Now, after you've done that, what you want to do is reach out to a professional home inspector to inspect your home. Now, this is not a mandatory step, although it's a recommended one, and let me tell you why. Buyers are going to want a home inspection on your property 9 times out of 10. If you have already done a home inspection so that you can show them everything there is to know about your home, you're not only saving yourself a headache, because if the buyers have a home inspection report, they may not want to do an inspection at all on your home. Therefore, there's less reasons for them to back out of the deal. Most deals fall apart at the point of inspection where a buyer finds something that they weren't expecting and the seller often didn't even know about it. Get out in front of it, hire a home inspector. Even if you're not willing to address a major issue that pops up, at least leave it in the hands of the buyer to decide if they want to take it upon themselves. I'll give you an example. Let's say you do a home inspection and the home inspector finds that your furnace is 20 years old. Yeah, it's still working, but it's gonna need to be replaced soon. You can leave that aside and be upfront with it with the buyers so that they know what to expect ahead of time. In fact, you could even talk about it with them at the show, and you could say, hey, the home inspector said the furnace is 20 years old, but it's been working great, and I think it's going to continue working great. However, buyer, if you would like a credit, we can talk about that, right? You have to be all about a win-win scenario. Because if you're not putting yourself in the buyer's shoes, the buyer's not going to want to work with you, right? If you're so hard-headed about a water heater, which is a $2,000 fix, possibly $2,500, I think I paid on my house. I had two of them replaced in my houses. If you're not willing to do that and the buyer walks, you're going to be on the market 90 days later kicking yourself and saying, dang it, I should have replaced that water heater that they wanted me to replace ahead of time, and now I killed the deal. And guess what? You don't see your money, you don't see the buyer, you don't even see any new prospective buyers at the time. And if your home sits on the market for too long, it starts looking like stale bread on a shelf that nobody wants to touch. So, like I said, hire a professional home inspector to be transparent about everything in your home. You may find some items that you want to tackle yourself, or you may find some items that you just want to put it off onto the buyer. So, be upfront about it, hire a home inspector, and get out in front of any issues. Now, at this point, you didn't even put your house on the market yet, right? You staged it, decluttered it, we hired a home inspector, we deep cleaned the house. Now you are ready for pictures. You want to hire a professional real estate photographer only. Only a professional real estate photographer. Why? Because if you hire a family portrait photographer, you don't know their style. Maybe they're dark and moody, and even if they're light and bright, real estate photos need to be absolutely exceptional. Most photographers who specialize in the real estate field, they have a wide angle lens where they can stand in the corner of your room and take a wide shot to where it makes the room look absolutely huge. Now, you don't want it to look too crazy because you don't want buyers to be disappointed when they enter your home. But real estate photographers are very specific about their craft and what they do. So make sure to hire specifically a real estate photographer, and I guarantee you're gonna thank me later. It's usually $250 or so is what I pay for my photographer, and it absolutely makes a massive difference. Remember, people fall in love with their eyes, so to give them a reason to fall in love with your home. The last thing you want to do is do all of the work that we've already talked about and take cell phone shots, where I've seen these shots, people, where it's somebody's belly in the cell phone shot because they're taking it themselves. Please hire a professional real estate photographer. Now, after you took the pictures, at this point, we need to understand what your property is going to be priced at. There is 3 pricing strategies. Number 1, pricing your home below market value. This strategy often works great in the spring. I don't know why I still have my finger up, but it often works best in the spring. Why? Because when there's so much buyers out there crawling around the market, if you price your home under what it's worth, what happens is buyers come in a frenzy and start showing your property, writing multiple offers, and then you have to negotiate those offers to get an even higher price. Now, if you're in the summer market, anywhere from May up until July, you could use that strategy as well, or you could use a more conservative approach to where you price your home at what you believe is the market value for your home. Now, if you're in the fall/winter time frame, I would still price it at market value. However, some people like to overprice their home because buyer activity can be slower, and there are buyers out there that look for deals. If you encounter one of those buyers, they may want to work you down $20,000 on the price. So you overprice it a little bit and wait for the right buyer to come in and then start negotiations. So how do you even identify the value for your home? Well, you have to do what's called a competitive market analysis. You can simply go on Zillow, type in your home address, and if you scroll down to the bottom, you will see comparable homes to yours that Zillow is actually showing you. They will have similar square footage, similar bedrooms and bathrooms, and you want to look at houses that weren't sold later than maybe 2 or 3 months away. Because homes that were sold a year ago, they don't really apply to today's market. So look at houses from about 2 to 3 months back that look similar to yours, have similar square footage as yours does, and identify a price of what they actually sold for. If you see 2 or 3 houses that sold around $550,000, you'll know that your market value is about $550,000 for your property. Now, if you want to pay me just to do that part, I'd be happy to do so. Again, fill out the form below, make that request, and for $100, I can send you over a market analysis. And now, after you've identified the price of your home, a big key here is for you to actually list it on the market. Now, how do you do that without an agent? A simple Google search will show you that you can list homes on the multiple listing service in any state that you're in. So if you go on forsalebyowner.com or fsbo.com, there's so many websites out there. I personally like the one where you actually spell out forsalebyowner.com, you pay a few $100, and they list it on your local MLS. This is where all of the buyers are sitting. They're looking at homes through the MLS. Their realtors are sending their homes through the MLS. So you want to get on the MLS. Now, when you list your home, you'll have the ability to select if you want to pay a buyer's agent commission. I would say that you should pay a buyer's agent commission because most buyers don't have money to pay to their agents. And with recent laws, agents have agreements with buyers that in some cases they don't even have to show homes that are not paying commissions. So if you want to sell your home, you're most likely going to have a buyer's agent, but hey, at the very least, you're saving whatever percentage on a listing agent. So if a listing agent charges you 3% on a $500,000 home, that's $15,000 that you're pocketing. Yes, you're doing the work yourself. Yes, you have a bit more of a headache, but it's going to be worth it if you want to make $15,000 more. Now, after you list it on the MLS, most likely, like I shared with you, that buyer will have an agent and that agent will write up an offer. If the buyer doesn't have an agent, you can go on websites like rocketlawyer.com, pay for their subscription, whatever it's going to be, $20-$30, don't quote me on that. I've used them before. And you can download a real estate purchase and sale agreement and go into contract with a buyer. Or better yet, simply hire an attorney. Either way, I would have an attorney on standby because even if the real estate agent of the buyer draws up the contract, you want to get it reviewed by an attorney. I'm telling you, it's going to be the best, maybe $300 that you'll spend, $500 depending on what attorney you talk with, because there's a lot of contingencies in place that are made to protect the buyer. When it comes to contingencies are just ways that the buyer can back out of the contract. The biggest one is inspection contingency. So if you hired an inspector to inspect your house and the buyer chose not to do an inspection, you already knocked that out of the park. Then you have a financing contingency. This contingency protects buyers all the way to the day of closing usually, to where they can back out if all of a sudden they lose their job. If you negotiate properly, you can get that timeline shortened maybe to 3 weeks. That, hey, Mr. Buyer, you have 3 weeks to figure out your stuff. You know, if you're closing 30 days later, you'll have 21 days to figure out all of your financing and then waive your financing. You have to make sure to set up your contract properly. We can do a whole segment on offers alone, but make sure you know what you're signing. Make sure you know what ways the buyer can back out of the contract. Make sure you know what fees you're paying, because states often have state sales taxes, as well as you could have a federal tax if you're selling an investment property. This is why I prefer just going to an attorney, paying them to review the contract, and to tell you what you need to change about it in order to benefit you. Now, after you've come to terms and entered what we call a mutual agreement, you end up sending the paperwork to the escrow company that's designated on the file. Now, what's an escrow company? It's just a third-party company who handles all the money. From the lender, they send it to you, and any funds that you owe, maybe for prorated taxes, they put it over to the buyer's side. So again, that could be a whole separate video, but essentially, once you hand the documents over to escrow, you're in a position where you know all the ways a buyer could back out, you know what you're getting for the property, and the escrow company will usually call you weekly to have you fill out information and facilitate the sale of your home. Usually this closing process can last about 30 days. It depends what was stated on your contract, but it's usually about 30 days for a financed offer, or if they were paying cash, it can be about 7 days. Essentially, it's a pretty easygoing process. You just coast to closing, and on the closing day, you get to hand over the keys to the buyer and you get to collect a paycheck. Now, sometimes those paychecks could come on the next business day, but they are guaranteed because the funds have been collected. So, my gosh, that was a mouthful. Anyways, if you guys want to know even more in depth, if this really was valuable to you and you want to dive in even deeper into contracts and a few other things, I'd be happy to shoot some more videos like this. So make sure to reach out, comment, like, subscribe. And if you want to sell your home through me, fill out the link below and I'd be happy to help you get your home sold wherever you are at. I'll see you in the next one.